Where would you rather be than right here, right now? No. The NHL season is upon us, and we're ranking all 32 teams on this amazing tier list we've got here.
Wow!
Woo! I'm fired up.
Woo! Wow. We are so damn back, boys. What a short NHL offseason that felt like.
Very fired up for today. One of the best videos all year for sure. Ranking every team.
100%.
Can't wait.
And then when we look back at it and we're like, man, we were really wrong with that.
But this is why we
bad.
play. This is why we play the game.
Before we get started, I'm going to explain all the categories. So we have Cup Champ, only one winner. It's basically who we think is going to win the Stanley Cup right here, right now, before the season starts. We have Cream of the Crop, which is basically just like your elite cup contenders. We've got Playoffs, question mark, exclamation mark, like Jim Mora. Playoff teams are teams that'll be
you have
like...
to read in the voice.
Playoffs? Yeah. Teams that'll be in the playoffs guaranteed or kind of right around the playoffs. Give it a good fight. We have Rebuild Going Right, which is, I think, a fair way to give some teams that are not going to be contending for the playoffs but have a bright future a good shout. We have I Don't Know, LOL, for the teams that were kind of just like, it could go either way. We have The Void, which is directionless, call it whatever you want to call it. And then Go Get Gavin. That is for Gavin McKenna, the number one pick. I've got the teams here that we have all been assigned. Let's start at the far end of the table there, Pock. Let's start with the Washington Capitals. You brought them up, and let's see where you're placing them right now.
All right, let's get right into it. Obviously, last year, massive year. Ovi breaks the record. Team was energized by that, and I feel like, let's be honest, they're a good team, but I think they overachieved a little bit last year. I think that's a fair statement. Spencer Carberry, Coach of the Year, like, credit to them. They were great. I don't see them being the first place team in the Eastern Conference this year. I don't. Though, I do think they have a strong roster, forward group especially, very strong. They also have an underrated group of young prospects that are emerging.
Very good.
It almost makes me feel like, man, I wish Ovi was like even 4 years younger so that he could play with a kind of prime Ryan Leonard, so that Cole Hudson could be up with the team by then. Andrew Cristall was a guy who lit it up in junior last year.
Protas's
brother,
man.
Yeah.
He might be the best prospect of all those guys.
So they do have a nice blend of kind of young and older.
They're going to be so good.
They're going to be a good team.
Yeah. They're not there yet, though.
I have a hard time seeing them as a true cup contender, though. If we're going to be really strict with that category, I'm going to put them in playoffs. I think they'll make the playoffs. I think they'll have a good season. Curious to see how Ovi does. Does he go for 1,000? Does he just say this is my last year? Because what he's doing at this age is incredible, but it can only last so long, unfortunately. So I'm going to put them in playoffs.
1,000 goals would be insane. He should do it.
I think it's a pretty fair spot for them.
Yeah, I agree.
No qualms. I like starting off with not an argument. I think he laid out their situation pretty well. Obviously, we're going to try and spend some time on every team, but there's 32 teams. We also want to make this as concise as possible. But for the good teams, easier to talk about. For the not so good teams, we'll probably have a little more arguing that we do. Jesse, let's start with a team that it's pretty interesting. The Pittsburgh Penguins. This is a team that I feel like we get into it with every year, and especially you.
Look, I understand the position that the Penguins are in. They're kind of in this weird phase where they have a bunch of older players, legacy players, that, you know, you're not necessarily moving, not as easily as some other teams might move some older players. I do think that this team is like really desperately in need of a rebuild, but that's not going to happen yet for obvious reasons. So I'm going to put the Penguins in the void. Chicago had to do a rebuild. Anaheim had to do a rebuild, and they're still not even close to being where they need to be. I don't think Pittsburgh's even close to where they need to be. I mean, unless they're able to recruit a bunch of amazing players, because Sid's in the twilight years of his career, and maybe they're able to get all these guys, but they have a lot of older players on. I mean, look at Carlson is on a pretty big contract too. So
big question with this team, and I think everyone has asked this offseason about it. Crosby, is he getting traded? We've done this same song and dance, but I feel like finally he's actually talked about it.
Yeah.
His agent has talked about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but there has been traction, I guess, on the conversation of it happening from like credible people now, including him. So what do you think we ultimately get with Crosby?
Like, that was one thing I actually put in my notes, is that for the first time, Crosby's camp didn't fully rule out moving. And I think we could see Crosby and Malkin moving. this year. Malkin's, let's remember, Malkin's in the last year of his contract. Tell me that like a Stanley Cup contender wouldn't want him as their second line center. Jets. But I think Crosby will finish the year in Pittsburgh, but I think next summer we got to start looking at like, okay, what's going on with this guy?
I'll start my list of 11 teams off here with the Vancouver Canucks. This one's a really interesting one. I don't know how to feel about this team. I really don't, because are they closer to the team we saw 2 years ago that finished first in the division, had all of these amazing seasons from so many guys, or are they closer to the team last year that underperformed exceptionally? Like, Elias Pettersson is a shell of himself at this point. There's no more JT Miller now. Demko was hurt again. Like, what are we getting out of him? There are just so many questions. Obviously, a new head coach now that Rick Tocchet is out. To me, based on the roster moves they made this offseason, it does feel like it's just an I don't know LOL right now, and it feels like they're potentially wasting one of 2 years that they have to sell Quinn Hughes that this is a legitimate cup contending team that he can win with. And I think that's like maybe the most dangerous position you can be in as a franchise, and Jim Rutherford has kind of come out and admitted that. Like, if Quinn wants to leave, he'll leave. Like, we're doing our best to build around him, and that's all they can do. But at this current roster iteration, like, I don't know if you guys disagree, but it just doesn't feel like they have a lot to write home about this year specifically. Maybe next year that changes, but you give yourself one less year now to be like, Quinn, look what we're doing. Like, stay. Because even the young guys they're interjecting into the lineup, not everyone I think that you'd want to see is there right now as far as their prospect pool. And then up front, like, if Pettersson doesn't have a good year under Adam Foote, like, what happens with him? I'm so fascinated of, like, if Quinn Hughes is just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And he'd have every reason to if this season goes bad.
There's definitely, you're entering the season with more questions than answers when it comes to this team. I could very well seeing a month into the season, 2 months into the season, be like, oh yeah, they're back. They're back to what we saw 2 years ago. But at the same time, I'm kind of hesitant where, like, I don't really know what their identity is. I'm worried that they might be struggling to score some goals at times, especially if Pettersson is still playing a little bit more on the quiet side in terms of offensive output.
They need Le Karamaki to have a good year.
Yep.
And then it's like, in net, Demko is great. Can we trust him to be in the crease all season long? It's one of the things, it's like, prove to me that you can. And it feels like it's harsh with Vancouver, because I feel like we've been saying that for years, and then they were finally so good, and then immediately we're back to being like, hey, you got to prove yourself again. But it feels like it is, especially with this whole Quinn Hughes situation.
And I wonder if that year was like this is like the 1% outcome of this team, where it was like, we're gonna win the division, like one of the best seasons that we've had in a long time. And if last year it probably was like the 1% in the opposite way, where like everything went wrong. So I don't know what the middle ground is. Is the middle ground like Pettersson bounces back, they still struggle scoring, Demko has a pretty healthy season, he's pretty good. Is that enough to get them a wild card spot? Because I don't think they're one of the top 3 teams in the division. I don't know how far down the standings they fall, though. It really is a big question mark that I'm kind of struggling with.
And also, in regards to the Hughes brothers stuff, I mean, Luke Hughes re-signed for 7 years. Jack is entering the 4th year of an 8-year deal. Quinn has 2 years left. If I'm Quinn, like, I would absolutely want to go to New Jersey at this point.
And
why wouldn't you?
Jack came out and said this offseason too, did he not? That, like, at some point in my career, I want to play with Quinn.
Yeah.
So the easiest way to do it now that Luke literally just signed is, Quinn, go to New Jersey.
And I know we talked, maybe Jesper Bratt goes the other way in a deal.
Ooh, interesting.
Who knows?
Very underrated player.
Gets to play with Pettersson.
Very underrated player. Yeah. Let's move on to our next team. We've had absolutely no objections to anyone's take here. And at the end, as a reminder, we can kind of move teams up and down, and we can also kind of overrule each other if 2 people disagree about where we put one.
Yeah.
Pac, let's go with you, and let's go with the Nashville Predators.
Oh boy,
the winners of the offseason, the champions.
Well, hey, you know what?
Did they hang a banner?
Not this one.
Not to pat myself on the back, but I was very like, guys, let's not be quick to say that they're with 2-3 signings going to turn their team around. I actually made a very in-depth video this summer about winning free agency and how that doesn't really translate. And if you look at last year, like Nashville, Boston, they all spent big in free agency and they all missed the playoffs. They all had a big point drop off. I think they're in the void. They're just, and it's also like, what do you do? Because you got all these players over 30 years old. Yossi, Stamkos, Ryan O'Reilly, Philip Forsberg, Marchessault, like
signed to long deals.
Yeah. So at this point, is it like, do we just blow it up? Do we trade these guys? Do we try to recoup something off of this massive free agency investment? Because otherwise, they're just going to sit on your... Like, I don't think they're at the point where you're going to make the playoffs. You don't have a great prospect pool. It's honestly, not to be too grim, it's one of the more sad situations in the NHL right now.
It's like the void of the void.
I think you give them until about American Thanksgiving to see, hey, was last year a fluke? Can we actually compete this season? And if you're not there by then, maybe even Christmas, I think you really have to say, okay, you know what? Let's go get Gavin. Maybe we even come even lower. Let's commit to a rebuild. Let's trade Stamkos. Let's trade. But again, some of these guys have terms, so it's gonna be hard to trade them with the money that they're owed. So yeah, we'll see. It's they're the void for me.
Matthew Wood hopefully gives Preds fans something to cheer.
Tanner Molendyke is another guy.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Jesse, you are up now with, let's go with the New York Islanders.
For the first time, maybe ever, I feel excited about the Islanders. Like,
it's fair.
I love Matthew Schaefer. I know we all do. Great kid. He's going to be a star in the league. But also that trade they made for Richie was like a really good trade. Mm-hmm. They've got some good prospects. I thought their whole first round class this year was amazing. With Eklund and Ajason Cash, who's going to be loved by those fans. And then you look at they also have a guy like Cole Eiserman who could rip the pill. I think that this is a rebuild going right, which is kind of interesting because I don't think that New York is necessarily like they're still good enough. Like I thought last year obviously was a bit of a fluke the way that they got first overall pick. I think they're still good enough that they're going to kind of be hanging around that wildcard spot. They're not going to get it, but they're not that bad. They have pieces there to like at least be competitive, but they're really starting to turn a page, and I like what they're doing. So Islanders fans, for the first time I think ever doing these rankings, I'm like I actually am excited for you.
No coincidence that the first year Lou is gone and Matthew Darsh comes in as the year we feel, I think, the best about the Islanders. And they've got Anders Lee and Pajot coming off the books next year too, so some money to spend in free agency. Maybe you get some assets for them at the deadline like they did Brock Nelson last year. Who knows? I think we've all been really impressed with Schaefer so far preseason. Like
back checks, man.
The back checks,
Incredible.
The chase down, like he is going to be so good for them.
Amazing skater. Big boy too.
All right, I am up next with I'm gonna go with the New Jersey Devils here. We talked about Jack Hughes before. We talked about Luke Hughes before. I think we may have forgotten about this team a little bit just because of how their season ended with Jack being hurt. No one really gave him a chance in that first round against the Hurricanes, and rightly so. I think it was an overmatched series just because they were missing their best player. But I really do feel like this is one of the better teams in the East. I think I'm going to stick them in cream of the crop, truthfully. I think Sheldon Keefe's first year there went as well as it could have, considering your best player got hurt. Your goaltending, everything you wanted Markstrom to be, he was really, really good. Talked about Jesper Bratt, one of the more underrated players in this league. Nico Hischier is really good. They're deep up front. If that decor can stay healthy, like Dougie Hamilton also got hurt last year, but between Hughes, Siegenthaler, Pesce, maybe you get something out of Nemec this year. I have no idea. That's a truly frustrating case for them. But outside of that, this is a pretty darn good team, and I think they're going to give Carolina a run this year for first in the Metro. Provided they can stay healthy. That's really my main question about them, but I think we're all pretty excited about what they can look like with Jack Hughes coming back, being healthy, potential top 10 player in this league when he is, and he's only going to get better and better.
That's an interesting one.
You think they're
Cup
more
contender,
playoffs than Cup contenders?
I see the ceiling, and I do think, I talked about when I was talking about Washington, like I feel like they might dial it back a little bit, which it leaves us room for one team in the Metro to really take off. Maybe the Rangers are somewhat back this year. I don't know.
That's an interesting
So
one.
I'll buy it. I don't think it's like they're a shoe-in to be a cup contender. It's like one of those things I could see it happening.
I'd agree with that. Well, maybe we'll revisit that one at the end.
We'll see the other
what
teams.
What other teams we have in the contenders. This team probably won't be a contender. The Chicago Blackhawks, Puck. Where are we going with the Blackhawks this season?
Yeah. Just need to see more. Just need to see some optimism. I honestly
That's
answer
an
that.
understatement, I think.
I answer that like I was like an NHL guy.
You
coming off
sounded like a head coach.
a Game 6 heartbreak loss. Just need to
just
see more.
need
Need to see more from the guys.
No emotion.
Do need to see more from the Blackhawks.
I think you
though.
need
Like,
to see a lot more than more.
Yeah.
I think we've all gotten too
we need
harsh
to
on
see
Bedard. though.
Oliver more.
Can I say that about Bedard? Is that fair? We've all gotten too harsh on this guy. Like, I think we all expected him to like instantly come in and score 100 points. Like, it takes time. He's 20 years old. Most guys his age aren't even in the NHL yet, and I know he was supposed to be this generational prospect.
I think
still
that's
he can
why
be
we're.
that.
I think that's why we're talking about him like this, though. Especially seeing how Celebrini came in the league.
Celebrini and Bedard's rookie seasons. Okay, Celebrini was better, but it's not like he head and shoulders blew him away. I just think that the expectation, Celebrini was more of a surprise. So we're like, oh, Bedard, you're falling behind. You're not doing great.
I mean,
he's not playing with great options.
He needs better players around him. Like Chicago
and that
needs to
brings
go out
me-
in free agency next year, and they need to actually spend all the cash they have. Like enough. Like a complete dog poo roster. I'm
And-
sorry. that Frank Nazar contract, I actually like it, but wow, what a contract, eh?
Yeah.
And they need to go get Gavin, and that's where I'm putting them because they're gonna be bad.
How sick would that be? If
Get
Bedard-
Gavin McKenna. They're gonna be one of the worst teams in the West.
We are going to talk next about the Ottawa Senators, Jess, and you are up with Ottawa.
You know what, fellas? Honestly, I thought long and hard about this one.
Ooh,
What's about to happen?
I'm excited.
Because I really, on one hand, I look at the Senators and I'm like, it's so often just the same thing with this team year after year. They just have all these amazing pieces, but they're not good enough. So that would, but like they did take a step forward by getting in the playoffs last year, which was a huge step. But another part of me is just like, man, this team has all the pieces to win a Stanley Cup.
Oh, okay, I thought you were gonna go in complete opposite direction. I was gonna be like, dude, that's ridiculous.
No. Like I actually look at this team and I'm like, this is one of the deepest teams offensively in the East. They've got a really, really good blue line. Like they have that formula. They have Stützle at center, right?
Yep.
They've got Sanderson at D, and they've got Omark. And I look at them matched up with the Devils, and like I don't think their roster is worse than the Devils. Like I think that they're very even teams.
I think it's
I
better.
think it's better
I
too.
think it probably is better up front.
And that's why, even though I know they're going to lose in the first round of the playoffs next year, I'm going to stick the Senators in contenders because I just think they're one of those teams that like if they could just figure it out and find a way to go on a run, I could just see them. They're just ready to kind of take the next step. I really like what they're doing there.
I'm not gonna push back too much right now, but I think by the time this video is done and you guys say, who do you want to move? I'm going to say move Nashville and Ottawa down.
Probably one of the deepest teams down the middle, too, with Stützle, Cousins, Shane Pinto, and
Yeah.
Lars Eller. I mean, say what you want.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Lars
it's a
Eller.
fourth line
Good
center.
fourth-line
You'll
center.
take him 100%.
Remember when he put 4 by the Jets in the Bell Center? Yeah. You remember that?
Say that,
Jeez.
dude.
Say love you. Let's move on to. I'll pick a West team here. I'll go with the Seattle Kraken because this team is just an absolute disaster in so many ways. My biggest question that I want to know with them is, are Shane Wright and Beniers like actually worth building around?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I think Shane Wright can get there offensively. I think Beniers is a solid two-way player, but are any of them as good as their draft status is going to be? I have no clue. The forward group is a disaster outside of that. It's aging. There's not much there. The D-core is kind of locked in, and it's not very good. Not a lot of talent. No difference makers as far as, like, top pair. I think Vince Dunn is really good, but I don't think he's, like, a top pair defenseman. I think he's, like, a complimentary second pair or maybe second best defenseman on a pretty good team. I really do think that you could see this team going to get Gavin potentially if all things break wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'll put them in the void for now.
I actually like the go for Gavin comment because, like, I agree. Like, couple things. I think Shane Wright actually took a step in the right direction last year.
I do too. I think I was really encouraged by what
Yeah.
I saw from him.
The more puzzling thing to me is this Matty Beniers stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he just hasn't been as good as he was since he was a rookie. And I think the one silver lining for Seattle right now is that they have a really interesting prospect pool. And I think it's just time that this team literally sells everyone. They have to accept that you're not the Vegas Golden Knights. You're not going to be good right away. You have to just sell it all, rebuild.
Shane Wright's staring down a rebuild.
Staring down a rebuild.
Hopefully being the star of it. I mean,
I think he actually was, like, jokes aside, he looked good last year.
I think he looks good too.
The point production was there. Like,
I think the Beniers one is definitely the more puzzling one. And like,
for sure.
if he careers out at like Patrice Bergeron light, like a really good second line center that can chip in offensively, 50 points a year, but is really, really good in his own end of the ice, I think you'll take that, but not where you drafted him. You were expecting a little more than that.
Especially after how good he was as a rookie, right?
100%. Still a ton of talent there, but you got to show it. Pock, you're up next, and we are going to go with... I don't want to give you your favorite team yet, so we're going to go with the Edmonton Oilers. Let's get our first heavy hitter on the list here.
Been my
Hawk
second
squad.
favorite team. I was going to say, I've been saying they're going to win the cup every single year. Now that's
Does it
the big
continue?
question.
We can only have one
Does it
cup
continue?
champ.
Listen, I could see them winning the cup in the same breath.
We say that every year.
Or even
and
sure
it's
this
like,
roster is that good. But I think the big guns will will their way to maybe another Stanley. Like, they're going to be in it. Goaltending is a huge question mark, right?
They just signed Connor Ingram.
There you go.
Low key.
just traded for him.
Low key. Oh, yeah, this just traded from, sorry. Low key, and they got him for nothing. He was on a $1.95 million deal, I'm pretty sure. I think this is like a really, really safe bet for the Oilers, and a guy who could ultimately... I mean, he hasn't played too much in the last couple of years, but like, this is a guy who could start a lot of games for them.
Yeah,
Sure.
I
Based
like the
on
move.
the track record of the Oilers' second goalie over the past 2 seasons, like
Yeah.
Calvin Pickard
Also-
played more games than anyone imagined.
Their track record of just like going into a playoff series, then like 2 games in the playoff series, switching their goalie, and then switching their goalie again. Like, at least it gives them another option. It's not like we're saying they're bringing in a Vezina winner over here.
Well, we've wanted them to bring in somebody.
And it could be someone better. It's someone that at his highest has played better than I think anyone in their crease right now. I think that's a fair statement. So it's exciting. Liked some of the moves that they've done, but then also they tend to just hand out these weird contracts. I don't know, like everything that we can say about Edmonton has been said already. There's so much pressure on this team to win the Stanley Cup. Of course, the McDavid contract situation, just one of the weirdest off seasons. Everyone kind of felt like he would sign by now. He's been selective with his wording in a lot of his press that he's done about discussing that he's only focused on next year.
Is it starting to feel like Marner a little bit?
I don't know, like you start to think like where else would you like that? It feels like where you go there, like you're playing with Leon Draisaitl. How rare is it to play with the second, the third best player in the NHL?
Mitch Marner was playing with Austin Matthews.
But there
And
it
William
wasn't
Nylander.
working like at all. Here they're like games away from winning the Stanley Cup, and you're going up against super team Florida. This year,
Well, let me
Florida's going
ask
to look
you
at a little
this, though.
different. Like, just stay there.
If they fall short of not even making the cup, like anything other than a cup win is a failure.
Of course, and I kind of respect like it's his decision at the end. If you want to like, oh, let's see how this season goes. I think that's totally it's within his right, of course. So it's fine. It's just you're starting to get a little weird vibes, and I'm kind of starting to think like, I don't know, where else are you really going to go?
Hey, listen, those two have proven they can carry literally us to a Stanley Cup final, and they'll make it work. I think the difference this year is like you've got maybe some young guys that could potentially be playing pretty big roles, like Isaac Howard, Matthew Savoy.
Yeah.
Two guys that have a ton of talent, and I think we've seen it so far in the preseason from Howard specifically playing on the second line. Like, that could be a difference maker right there that they haven't had in the past.
Scored against the Jets.
Completely fumbled the Holloway and Broberg deals. Like, just imagine if they still had those guys, man. And like some of the deals they've given out is just like, imagine Dylan Holloway, 60-point guy last year. Like,
It really does feel like they're kind of taking the McDavid Draisaitl combination for granted in that sense of like, we can literally put anyone around them. That doesn't mean you have to just literally put anyone around them. Have a plan of attack of giving good contracts out.
Yeah.
get Jeff Skinner back in this team.
Guys on the Sharks now.
I know.
So
So
we're
like
saying-
one playoff game.
We're saying contenders?
I'm putting them in
Definitely,
contenders.
okay. Not cup champs, though.
No.
Okay.
But I'll pick them to win if it's my season prediction. But I don't think they're the best team in the NHL.
Okay. That's a big distinction here on our tier list because we can only have one.
Yeah.
Jesse, you are up now with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Interesting team here.
Yep. And you know what? I'm just going to be quick to the point here. I'm going to put them in playoffs.
Nice.
I think they're absolutely going to be contending for a playoff spot. They were last year. I really like what Columbus is doing. I think Adam Fantilli is on the verge of becoming one of the best players in the league. Like, he's really going to make his way into like that top 50 conversation at least. And I love Zach Werenski. He's a complete stud.
That guy deserves to be playing in the playoffs, man.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think Columbus, they've got some really, really good prospects too. I really like Kent Johnson too.
I was going to say, a really good bounce back year from him makes you feel a lot better about how that top 6 looks.
Yeah, 100%. And I think they've got some really good prospects to be excited about. Like Cade Lindstrom is going to be wicked, and Luca Del Belbaluz.
Matejchuk will start with the team as well. Right. Yep, he's going to be great. You know what's a funny move that Nashville, I don't know why they made, but dropping Dante Fabro basically for nothing, and now he has turned his entire career around. He's playing on the top pair with Werenski in Columbus and looks like a completely different player.
Yeah.
Great bit of business for them. And then Jet Greaves in net is really interesting. He gives them a different element that, obviously they've been rocking with Merzlikins for a while, but Greaves played some games last year, looked really, really good. If they can find a little more consistency in net. Hopefully we see them in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with another probably playoff team, the LA Kings. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this team because they just feel like they are destined for a 5th straight first-round exit and another one at the hands of the Oilers.
Even with Corey Perry now.
Even with Corey Perry and Cody Ceci and Brian Dumoulin, the big off-season acquisitions right there. And Corey Perry is hurt right now as well, so that's great. This is Adrian Kempe's last year. He's UFA next year. This is also Anze Kopitar's last year. He is retiring at the end. Man. So you really need Quinton Byfield and Brant Clark to be like massive difference makers, star-level players. If not this year, like next year as soon as possible. Yeah. Because that is the only difference I see in the rosters that we've seen in the past to now. I also don't know if you get a better year from Darcy Kemper. Like, he was amazing last year. If he's 20% less of that, this team is maybe fighting for a wild card spot instead, which is an even worse spot to be in. So I think I'm pretty confident in them making the playoffs, but I just don't know how I feel about them being an actual contending team. Pac, let's move on back to you, and let's go with the St. Louis Blues.
Ooh, this is a fun one. They're a feisty team. They've got, I think, a decently high ceiling, and I think in a lot of cases they're maybe overlooked. Do they necessarily have the top-end talent as some of the best teams in the NHL? No. But considering maybe 2 years ago when they were like shipping off Ryan O'Reilly at the deadline, I feel like they've done very well to kind of reorganize themselves to still be competitive. And I think Jordan Binnington was very solid last year. Robert Thomas, since he didn't make the Four Nations team, was one of the best players in the NHL. So there's definitely reasons to be excited. Again, questions about like how far can they go? I definitely have some reservations, but I think they'll be in the playoffs. Like I want to put them in that playoff category. Also, just a small note, not that this really matters, but their new uniforms are just some of the best in the NHL.
So nice.
Feel like I had to shout them out for that. But yeah, I think I'm gonna throw them in the playoffs.
100%. And hot take, like, it sounds so bizarre, but even though the Jets lost to the Stars, I actually thought the Blues were a tougher opponent for the Jets in the playoffs. Jake Neighbors is another good player. That guy
Jimmy Snuggerud.
Jimmy Snuggerud is going to be playing the top line. Blues team to watch for sure. Jess, let's move on to you, and let's go with the reigning Stanley Cup champions, the two-time defending Stanley Cup champs, the Florida Panthers. They're looking a little different this year going into it, though. Obviously, with the Barkov injury, that's going to be massive.
They are. I mean, what an interesting time for the Florida Panthers. There are so many things to take into account. Obviously, first of all, the Barkov injury, brutal news, just sucks. You have Matthew Tkachuk, who's going to be out until December. And then you have to take into account that this is a team that has gone to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. They played a lot of hockey. And I know I was talking about it at my other beer league team the other day. It's like, I know the Barkov thing was a freak accident, but do you think them playing so much hockey could have contributed to, who knows, like, are guys going to be more prone to potentially getting injured because they've been playing so much hockey? I don't know. I'm not a doctor, clearly. But you know what? I will say this.
Give it away. The Sharks
jersey. My 10. Yeah, exactly. It's probably the Eric Carmen hat. But if there is one team that can kind of survive everything that's been happening, it's the Panthers, because they were able to sign all these players in the offseason because they don't have to worry about state income tax, as Brad Marchand so eloquently said. What a beauty, that guy. Just says it how it is. Like, thanks for the honesty, Brad, honestly. So, you know what, guys? Honestly, you can call me crazy, but when everything's back to normal for the Panthers and Barkov's back in the playoffs.
You think he's going to be back for the playoffs?
Barkov makes a miraculous comeback in the playoffs because he's a freak of nature, and Matthew Tkachuk is back, and all this stuff goes their way. I am telling you right now that the Florida Panthers are my Stanley Cup.
Wow.
I don't care what anyone says.
Wow.
I don't care what anyone says. They just need to make the playoffs first.
Interesting. I mean, think about the conversation we were kind of having with them towards the end of last season, though. Like when the Leafs beat them, I think, in a couple of those games late in the season to take home ice from them, or like they finished, what, third in the division?
Yeah, because they beat Tampa the first two games.
They beat Tampa the first two games in a row. But how we talked about them at the end of last season was kind of like, I don't know if they've got it. Like,
it was the whole, like, they've played too much hockey.
They've played too much hockey, but
now we're right back there.
Like you said, just make the playoffs. This team is more than battle tested. They know what it takes to win, what it's all about. Like, I know those sound like cliche things, but I think it really does help in situations like this where you're going to be missing your two best players. Just like, get to the dance. Just like, it doesn't matter who we play. We just need to be there, and we're going to be okay. I'd push back against Cup Champ. I don't know about you.
I understand. I totally get it.
A lot of things have to go their way. I think Sam Bennett's words are sticking with me right now when they just won the Cup. And he was talking about Brad Marchand, and he was like, that guy's the most impressive guy I've ever seen, how he's a leader, how he can just lock in, and how he's a gamer, and he just steps up. And they just have that, again, cliche, championship DNA. Mm-hmm. But if they win a three-peat, for one, how rare that is. Two, the circumstances that they're facing. Their best player,
Cup finals in a row.
Their best player tearing his ACL before the season starts. Their second best player probably being out to December. If you win a three-peat like that, I think that's the greatest achievement in the modern NHL in the last in this century, at least.
100%.
Maybe even in all North American sports.
Yeah,
it's just so unprecedented to win three in a row. It's so hard. I can't do it with Barkov being.
I can't either.
We're voting you down.
That's okay. Okay, Pacific contenders then.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like I'm not doubting, and I'm still not even doubting. Like if those two guys are healthy come playoff time, like they're probably a favorite to win the Cup. I'm gonna move to a team that is not even close to this conversation. The Buffalo Sabres. It's a tough one, but I actually finally feel like maybe this is rebuild going right. I'm not placing expectations on this team. It's not that I don't know what they are. I feel like I know what they are going into this season. It's not a team that's going to sniff the playoffs, but it is a team that is just trying to figure out what they have in a lot of their young guys, and hopefully they can figure that out. Some of their pieces excite me. It's like Zach Benson excites me. Josh Norris excites me. Alex Tuck's going into his last year, which is really interesting, and I'm like,
he'll be a Panther.
If you're out of a playoff spot... Every playoff team should be calling the Sabres about Alex Tuck. I really do just need to see a lot from these young guys, and I think everyone does. But I'm not falling for the mystery box of like all these young guys are gonna have amazing seasons and they're gonna make the playoffs. I feel like that's what we've fallen into the past couple of years because we want to project the best out of these guys. It's probably not gonna happen. But if two of them hit, of like Benson, Jack Quinn, Kulik, Doan, Byram, Power. Pick two of those six guys to hit and have like really promising seasons. I'm happy.
But is that rebuild going right? Really? Like at a certain point, we've been hearing about all these young players for years, and they're still. And you said you're like, I don't think they're going to sniff the playoffs. It's like, well, what are we doing then? It's like it's
You're
almost
not really
like the
in
void.
No man's land though, because like what? At least you have six young guys to be excited about. Being like, we're going to keep throwing darts, give them the ice time. Hopefully, two of them hit.
What about Isaac Rosen? They also have. They have like a couple other first rounders. Like I just want to see these guys get in the lineup and start playing.
I do think that there is promise here, not promise to make the playoffs, but I just feel like the void is harsh for them.
It is just because they have a young team still. But I don't know. The Atlantic looks so tough.
The Atlantic is a battle.
Still not feeling great about the kind of direction they're heading in. But who knows? I've been surprised. I've been surprised before. We can keep them there.
Let's stick with the Atlantic then and go with the Boston Bruins. Talk about a team that direction-wise is lacking some. Yeah.
So last year I was banging the table for I will put them in playoffs until they prove me otherwise, because we've been calling for the demise of this team for years.
They proved us otherwise.
And they did. They finally did.
Yeah.
It finally happened. They were last place, albeit McAvoy missed a ton of time. Jeremy Swayman just had this super uncharacteristic season, and maybe you can chalk that up to finally having a big workload. Maybe you can chalk that up to the fact that he had this big contract dilemma that almost bled into the season. But everything that you could have thought of to go wrong for Boston last year went poorly. New head coach now, Marco Sturm coming in. That was a shock to part ways with Jim Montgomery after all the good things he did over there. Like, it's weird because part of me sees, like, when you have Pasternak, you have McAvoy, you have Swayman. That's kind of like three key pillars where you should be competing for the playoffs. So are they in that playoff bracket, or are they in the void where it's like...
Or are they just, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have these good young prospects that are kind of injecting some youth and some life into this team. And also, some of the contract that they've handed out, like Zadorov and Lindholm just did not work out last year. So
Hagen was a nice pick, though.
He was a nice
very
pick.
nice pick.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to put them in, I don't know. I
fair.
kind of started this off saying like they're going to be in the void. But because they have some high-end talent, I think that they can, at the very least, be competitive.
Swayman, McAvoy, Pasta, like you said before, if you've got a star forward, a star defenseman, a star goalie, like
they're in their prime,
you're
too.
probably going to be a pretty solid team. Like the floor is higher because of those three.
And their core like isn't even old, right? Like you can like Boston could go to free agency next summer.
Yeah.
And like easily become a contender quickly.
They could sign Zadorov and Lindholm again.
Yeah.
And then come last in the Atlantic.
Let's go to Minnesota for you, Jess. The Wild, who just signed Kirill Kaprizov to a $17 million a year contract.
So one thing I'm just going to say about this first, let's address that. Good for Kirill for getting his bag. And good for Minnesota for not losing their star player. Did they give up a ton of cash for him? Yes. But like, people need to understand in these kind of colder markets, bless you, where there is state income tax, it's harder to retain really, really good superstars sometimes. So good on them. You know what? I'm actually going to say, oddly enough, even though they made the playoffs last year, I'm not going to say that Minnesota's rebuilding, but I think that they are building a good team. And it's easy to label this team as, oh, they're the Maple Leafs of the West. They can't win playoffs. They actually put up a pretty good fight against Vegas last year. Mm-hmm. And I know that doesn't sound like enough, but like this team has some really, really good prospects, right? They have Zeev Boyam. They have Jesper Wallstedt. They have Liam Ogren. They have...
All three guys should be making big impacts on this team this year.
100%.
Like as soon as this year.
Boldy and Rossi are still young
so
too.
Good.
So good.
They managed to sign Rossi.
Yoel Eriksson-Ek.
Eriksson-Ek, yeah. So I actually...
Brock Faber, Juricic.
In a weird way, I don't know. They're not rebuilding, but they are building something special while already having a good
I think that means they're playoffs.
So I'll say playoffs, but I think Zeev Boyam is going to be an absolute star. Like I think it's just a matter of time. Mm-hmm. Like defensemen usually take a little while, like they take a little longer, but in a few years we're going to be talking about Zeev Boyam being like a really steady, good defenseman for the Wild, and they've got Faber. Yeah, I mean I'll stick them in. They'll be in the playoff hunt.
Kind of like I'm tempted to. They kind of fit in like the Ottawa Devils.
You see a ceiling that high, eh?
I do see a ceiling that high, but everything has to hit right.
Yeah, they got to win one playoff series first. It's been so long.
For sure, 100%. But it's more just like if they get the best versions out of all these young guys right away, this team could be like a Central Division winner potentially.
Yeah.
They could be that good, and if Kaprizov stays healthy. But obviously, that's a lot of what ifs. But I do feel like the ceiling of them is probably higher than Ottawa and New Jersey.
There's a lot of reason to be excited in Minnesota.
I will do... You know what? I think it's time. Let's do Toronto Maple Leafs.
Wow, let's do it.
Let's do the Toronto Maple Leafs. I feel like we pencil them in as cream of the crop every year because they've had this run with the core four that they are not talking about anymore. They are happy not to talk about the core four. I'm going to stick them in playoffs. I think there's no way in this world that anyone can convince me that they are a better team now heading into the season than they were last year at this time without Marner. I need to see it to believe it. If someone is going to try and convince me of that, I think next year we'll probably see what they do with that money specifically. And I know the McDavid rumors or whatever, but McDavid aside, we've got a lot more cap space next summer. Let's see what they actually do with it. I think this year it's just playoffs and whatever else you get out of it. Like, I don't think the expectations are high for this team, truthfully. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but like Max Domi playing on line one is not exciting. Like, Michelli is not starting there. I feel like Leaf fans had penciled him in as like, this is our Marner replacement. Like 2 years ago, he was amazing, and like he's such a good passer. I'm like, yeah, that's all good and well, but it takes a lot to play with Austin Matthews. I'm sure that line is gonna have many different iterations, but that's kind of why I feel like this is a playoff team. I feel pretty confident about that, but anything more than like one series win, I think you'd probably be pretty happy if you're a Leafs fan based on how they look on paper right now.
I think there's a lot of curiosity. It's one of those things that's like, is the loss of Marner that forced them to kind of have a different look in the way their roster is put together? Is that going to help them? Or is it just going to be like by November, it's like, hey, we're not scoring anymore. We're not creating as much. We're missing Mitch Marner. Is that going to be a thing?
I'm going to share a hot take. I absolutely would put them in creme de la crop. Like,
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
And I'll tell you why. I feel like this year specifically, and not that the regular season matters at all, but I'm talking about into playoffs too, especially if there's no Barkov. And I know I gave my spiel about the Panthers, but man, it's wide open. Like I think even without Marner, I think the Leafs are capable of beating the Lightning. I think the Leafs can beat really anyone in the East. I think that even still without Marner, they're still a really good team. Like, they're a team that should be able to compete. I'm not saying they're going to win the cup, but like, they got so close last year. They almost beat Florida. They're so close.
We got 2 votes to move them up, so I'll move them up to contenders for now, and maybe Ottawa and New Jersey don't belong there. We'll see once this list is kind of complete. Puck, Anaheim Ducks.
Oh, man. The Ducks. Again, similar to... I'm not going to quite put them in like the Sabres realm, but for a while now, the Ducks have been kind of refreshing their roster, acquiring a lot of young talent, and they've had some good moments at times, but overwhelmingly, we have not seen them take a massive leap. Do I think that this is the year it's going to happen? I don't think so, but I would probably say that because of how many young players they have there, and they still have some players that are even yet to join their team, I'll put them in rebuild going well, even though at times there have been moments where it's like, man, is this really going to work? Like the whole Trevor Zegras situation ends up with them trading him for pennies on the dollar. Mason McTavish, kind of a weird saga with the contract. I know it ended up working, but even him, it's like, well, you feel like maybe by this point he would have been
Did he sign?
better. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he signed.
When
He would
was
have been
it?
better by now.
How long
It was like
it
last
for?
week.
6x7.
6x7.
6-7.
That's a
Kids say.
That is a
I think he
great.
did it for the meme.
Yeah, he did do it for me.
That's a great contract for the Ducks. You know what, Puck? I'm going to share another hot take here. I actually am putting Anaheim in playoffs.
Playoffs?
Yeah, because
I
man,
can't get
they also
Like, do you think that this year's Montreal?
dude, I think
can't get there.
I think having Quenneville as a coach is gonna do wonders for that team. I'm just saying, obviously a controversial hire by the Ducks, but I think there's no denying that he's a really good coach. He's very accomplished, and I think he's actually exactly what that team needs to kind of take it to the next level. They have a lot of players with so much potential, and I think the guy to unlock that potential is going to be Quenneville. And I think like all the pieces are there to at least compete for a playoff spot. They were kind of competitive last year.
They were, but at the
they were
same
total
time,
dog
like,
shit.
they didn't even have a guy eclipse 60 points on the season. Like, it's just at a certain point you need to see a little bit more of like
at least
this
with
is their
Buffalo,
guy.
You knew like Darlene, Tage, like you've got at least guys that are putting up that kind of production.
I think Cronin.
I would
in
be
Anaheim
more
under-
willing to buy into the Ducks making the playoffs than I would be.
The Sabres.
Yeah.
Even after
For
saying
sure.
Because
that?
I think
For
the
sure.
Ducks have
I disagree
goaltending.
with
I think
that.
they have goaltending with Dostal. I think he's like a
Very good.
going to be a really, really good player. And then like between McTavish, Carlson, like Troy Terry's still there. Like you kind of have
What about their defense
like
too, man? They're
Minchukov,
stacked.
there's so many good.
McCabe, or Lacombe is also
Jackson
Lacomb's really good.
so good.
I think they're very they are mirror images of each other for sure. Of,
But for whatever reason, I find myself more confident in the Ducks. I would put them in rebuild going well. I see for example, nobody thought last year Montreal was going to make the playoffs. It felt like they got ahead of schedule in their rebuild. Could I see that happening in Anaheim? I guess, but
I have a hard
to
time.
me, it's like I need to see it before I believe it.
Jess, Utah for you.
You know what, fellas? I got to say, as a Jets fan in the Central, the Utah Mammoth scare the hell out of me.
Oh, yeah, they do.
I think they're building...
I'm kind of all in on them.
Yeah. I think they are building such a good team. It is so amazing to see what a good owner can do for a franchise. Ryan Smith bought that team, put his stamp on it, said, I'm going to go out and I'm going to make some moves to make this team the best that I possibly can. Like he's invested. He's so invested into making this team good. And you look at that top six with Peterka now. What is it? You got Keller, Cooley, Hayton, Gunther, who's amazing. Gunther, Schmaltz, Peterka. That's one of the best top sixes in the league. And they're still deep further down the lineup too. I know they have Krause on the third line as well. McBain, that's right. And then you look at the back end. They've got some solid defensemen too. They've got great prospects coming out. Caleb Denway is going to be amazing for that team. This kid's just a leader. He's so good. And they also have TJ Ginla. This team is going to be a threat. I think right now I'm going to say playoffs. I think this is actually a year that they can make the playoffs. I actually feel kind of confident that they're going to grab a playoff spot this year. I'm not going to call them a contender yet, but I think they are well on track to becoming a contender if things continue to go right for them. And man, this team is doing a lot of really good things, and I think Ryan Smith deserves a lot of credit.
Carolina Hurricanes, for me, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this team, I don't think. Cup contenders, feel like we all are pretty kind of firmly in that. Adding Oilers, I just don't know how much that raises the ceiling of this team. It's not a Rantanen where I was really excited about them having a true star. K'Andre Miller's really nice. Nikishin on the back end as well. Maybe gives them a little different element than Brent Burns in years past has. But I think it's kind of a rinse and repeat with this team. It really is just going to be about the star power. And if they can find another guy, I think Aho's underrated. He's been really good for them, especially in the playoffs. Slavin, we all talk about it. He's really underrated as well. Just it still doesn't feel like they have that game breaker, and maybe that's what it's going to take. Or maybe in a year like this year in the East, where you don't really know, every team has question marks with the Leafs losing Marner and the Panthers losing Barkov and the Lightning getting a little older. Maybe it is more wide open, and this is the year that just a deep group of forwards is going to get it done and get them to the Cup final. But I'm not ready to give them a Cup champ stamp of approval at all yet. But they're going to be really good again.
Yep, no complaints there. I think we know what they are.
We know what they are. Yeah. We don't know what the Flyers are. What are the Flyers, Puck? Tell me what the Flyers are, because I have no idea what this team is. I really don't know.
Bringing in Rick Tocchet gives them this new element of okay, I'm starting to maybe buy it a little bit.
Interesting.
They're interesting though because you got some not like they're old players, but guys who maybe don't suit their timeline, like Couturier and Konechny. It's at a certain point, do you fully commit to a rebuild and maybe move off these guys? But that kind of seems irrational. Then you look at some of their prospects.
Maybe not Konechny.
Konechny feels like he's going to be the captain there.
Yeah, as soon as Couturier leaves, and you got to think Couturier is leaving soon.
Exactly.
You would think so.
Yeah.
So it's just the prospect pool isn't the greatest. I honestly feel like Philly, the last couple years, especially the first year with Torts when they were in the playoffs till the very end, and then they missed it on an empty net goal, and
that
just
was
brutal.
So nuts. They
kind of overachieved, and they've kind of ignored the inevitable for a while of you are gonna need to endure some painful days if you want to be one of the best teams in the NHL. And I like the Zegras move.
Yeah.
Great move.
But they still don't have a goalie. They still, it's just...
They don't have a number one defenseman.
It's kind of I don't really know. I think they're perfect for the category of I don't know. We'll see what they have. It's the first year of a new coach. Zegras. Hopefully he has this career renaissance in Philly. It's a new place to play. I don't know if you guys saw him talking about, like, he kind of went into detail.
He wants to be a
Yeah.
hockey player now.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to just be like good at hockey or known to be like, oh, he's really skilled. He wants to be a hockey player.
And I think this should help him.
Yeah, just load up that top line all year with Tippett, Michkov, and Zegras, and just let them play
cook.
the
Yeah.
entire year together,
Yeah.
and hope that is like what you want
Yeah.
out of that. Jess, let's go San Jose Sharks.
Ooh, I think I'm going to be pretty quick to say here that like the rebuild is going well.
Yeah,
And I'm almost at a stage like I'm not going to. I think playoffs is too big of a leap, but I do think that this team is going to take even another step further. Macklin Celebrini is the real deal.
Yeah.
Will Smith also the real deal. And then you look at other players. They got Misa coming through the system, who looks like he's going to play this year.
yep.
They
Which is awesome. I love that.
It's amazing. They also have Sam Dickinson. They also have What Am I Doing? Muka Madulin. Sorry. They have Askarov, who's going to be playing in net for them. So there's a lot
You're
of.
starting to see it, yeah.
They have Eklund.
They got Carey Price.
Yeah, they got
big
Carey
move.
Price. Yeah,
It was a big move.
massive move. Stick his number in the banners in the rafters.
Is he the best Sharks goalie of all time?
No, Nabokov was amazing.
With that
He was
iconic-
Better than
before your
Carey
time.
Price.
With that
I had
iconic
Evgeny
helmet.
Nabokov's hockey card. The
Excited
rebuild's
about
going
that.
well. It would not hurt, though, if they are really bad this year and they just somehow got Gavin McKenna.
Yeah,
That would be
incredible.
amazing. I think that's best case scenario where like the rebuild can be going well and you're still losing games because you're seeing the progression of all these guys and that's what you're playing for right now.
Yeah.
Detroit Red Wings, I have no clue. I'm gonna put them in the void because
Well, the eyes are playing.
again the eyes are
Relegated
playing.
to
The
the void.
off season was not good. Like John Gibson, yeah, fine. Like take a bet on another goalie this year. Is he gonna be the answer? I'm gonna bet that 9 times out of 10 he probably won't be, especially at this point in his career. I love Edvinson. I think Sider is really, really, really good. I think Lucas Raymond could be like a top 25 player sneaky by the end of the year.
Yeah. Axel Palinka as
Axel
well.
He's
Palinka,
good.
but
Yeah.
Marco Kasper, I like there are some young guys to build around for sure, but I look at the Atlantic and I'm like, you're not better than Ottawa. You're not better than New Jersey. You're not better than Toronto. You're not better than Montreal.
You're not making the playoffs.
You're not making the
Yeah,
playoffs.
you're not
If you're
making
not
stuff
better,
like-
you're not better than Florida.
Yeah.
If you're not better than those teams, you're not making the playoffs. And if you're not making the playoffs, then like, what are you doing? There are too many veterans on this team that have been given large roles, bad contracts, and the combination of all of that, I think, has set Detroit back more years than they'd probably like to admit, because I think a proper rebuild is in order, and it's been kind of this void for a while, and I think the playoff streak of missing out continues here.
I said it with Washington. I wish Ovi was 4 years younger. With Detroit, they have a lot of fun and exciting prospects. You need them to all be like 4 or 5 years older for this to work because
Probably,
I wish
yeah.
Datsuk was like 15 years old.
I wish Datsuk, Zetterberg, Lidstrom.
I wish
were
Carey
like,
Price
that'd be
was
nice.
25 and
Be nice for
playing on the Habs.
Montreal.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Habs next.
Wow,
Where are we
okay.
going with this Montreal team that is so very interesting? I've been waiting for this
There's
one.
a lot of hype with the Canadiens this year. Pressure's a privilege. You want to be in situations where
I know, but I
you're
just hate
expected
it.
to do well, and I think it's
Expectations are tough,
it's
man.
fun. It was a long couple years where they went to the Cup final and then they were instantly just the worst team in hockey. And it's great to be excited about this team again, and it's great to feel like, hey, we have a chance. Watching 5 playoff games last year, even though we were, easily the second best team in that series, it was fun. I know the expectations are going to be very high this year. I love the offseason moves that Montreal made. All their young players should be getting even better. I almost want to say, pump the brakes a little bit. I don't think it's a slam dunk guarantee that they're in the playoffs just because of how competitive it is.
Mm-hmm.
I will put them in the playoff category. I'm very excited to see Demidov, Lane Hudson in year 2. I think Slavkovsky, if he can finally put together a full 82 games, he'll be a 70-plus point guy. It's exciting, man. The one big question, and I think this is ultimately going to determine how far Montreal can go, is that second-line center. Right now, it's going to be Kirby Dach. This guy was a 3rd overall pick. He's big. He's fast. He's got underrated skills with the puck.
Bad
He has
injuries,
all
though,
the tools to be a dominant NHL player. He's gotten very unlucky, and he hasn't really been able to put together a string where he can build any sort of confidence in his game. He's finally healthy going into the year. He's going to have the first shot of being the second-line center. But I mean, the Crosby thing has been talked about. It's like that's the hole where Montreal kind of needs to upgrade their team. I'm not saying they're going to go and get Crosby. Don't think that's going to happen.
No, but if you're looking for an area to improve upon,
that's the weakness right now in the team. Defense is phenomenal. So young, so deep. They've even traded young players to get assets. They traded one young defenseman to get Patrick Laine. They traded another one in Logan Mailloux to get Zachary Bolduc. So the time is now. Like, there's no longer a rebuild. This is the team. This is the core. Let's see if they can win with these guys. I'm excited. Let's put them in playoffs. They'll be battling for it. Atlantic's very tough, though.
Vegas Golden Knights.
Vegas is right there for me. They are in that probably top 5 contending team for me. And I love the addition. I thought they did a great job with Marner. I think $12 million is very reasonable, especially if you take into percentage of the cap. No shit income tax, just saying. But I look at the depth of this team and I notice that it's getting a little old, and I don't know if the depth is good enough for this team to actually be the Stanley Cup champion. They are such a deep team. They're one of the deepest teams in the league, but is the depth good enough? And I'm not sure. I think we saw this past playoffs that it just simply was not. You know what? For now, we could tinker this. I'm going to put them in contender. I think that's an appropriate place to put them. But I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up going to the Cup final. But based off of what we saw in the playoffs last year, I also want to see Marner in the playoffs. I think he's going to do well in the playoffs this year with Eichel. And let's just kind of see. Let's see. I'm going to put them in contender for now.
I like that. I like that approach. It's a very level-headed approach for this team. I'm going to go the Avs next. Look, my temptation is to put them in Cup champ because I've just got blinders on. But I'm going to just go Cup contender for now. I think there are still some questions throughout the lineup. Depth is always something for these contending teams that I think is going to be questioned. But having Landeskog back is massive. It's a massive win. He looked amazing in the postseason last year when he did come back. Brock Nelson, the contract I don't think is going to age like fine wine, but it's an impact player for this window of Avalanche hockey that they're trying to win a cup. The Nature's question's interesting. I would have hoped that they got a contract done with him. I think this team is hopefully looking for stability up and down their lineup this year. With Landeskog back, with Nature's hopefully here at least for the season, you know what your top 6 looks like. I really like the Brent Burns addition. I think that's going to be a really valuable addition based on some of the defensemen that we were throwing in the lineup towards the end part of last year with injuries and things like that. There really isn't a prospect pool, though, that's coming for this team. I wonder what the big move is last year. They made a ton of them, so I wonder how they're going to look to improve the lineup this year, but they're a cup contender. I mean, when you have McKinnon, when you have McCarr, you're a cup contender. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. We've got 5 teams left. Calgary Flames.
This is my last team?
This is your last team, I think.
Man, sad. This was so much fun. All right, Calgary Flames. Another team where, honestly, flip a coin, tell me their outcome of the season, and I'll believe you. I don't know. It's very hard for me to accurately get a read on this team. When you have guys like Kadri, when you have guys like Huberdeau making a lot of money, also kind of not necessarily past their primes, but getting up there in age, and they're not necessarily meeting the timeline that the organization currently looks like they're presenting at winning a cup. Calgary probably overachieved last year. Mm-hmm. Were they unlucky to not make the playoffs? Probably, considering they had more teams than a lot of the teams that were fighting for it in the East. Dustin Wolf really carried this team for large chunks of last season, and he's only going to get better. He was second in Calder voting last year. He looks like it's great. They have someone there that can be a staple. It was great that they locked him up too. So there's some positives in Calgary. I think Zane Parekh, him coming in, playing NHL minutes this year is going to be really, really exciting. They have some good young players, but they also kind of feel like Philly to me, where it's like you're going to kind of need to endure some losing and some struggles to pile up some good prospects and then really, really go out in a couple of years. That's why it's like, what do you do with Huberdeau? What do you do with Kadri? Are these guys that could move? Rasmus Anderson's a big one where I think everyone, like, Backlund was very vocal. He's going to get traded. Hasn't happened yet. So Kadri's an interesting one, especially with...
Probably should have gotten an invite to Canada.
Yeah, he adds so much to your teams too. So I'm going to put them in I don't know.
That's fair.
For all the reasons I kind of just detailed, where I just have so many questions and so there's so much uncertainty.
Let's go with the Lightning for you, Jess. Got 4 heavy hitters here to end on. One of them's got to be our Cup champ.
Or
we can.
I think there's one team that
Who
we're
are you
probably
going to put back in? We'll see.
Yeah, we'll wait.
We'll wait. Tampa Bay Lightning.
The Lightning are just a weird team to me. I can't seem to like figure them out that well over the last couple years. I mean, they have these guys who perform so well in the regular season, and then in the playoffs they've just been ghosts. I mean, Kucherov had 4 assists this year in 5 games. Point had 2. Vasilevsky was not good after having a really like a Vezina caliber season. He was amazing this year. I'm gonna stick the Lightning in contender. They also made some good additions in Bjorkstrand, and they got Gord back for their third line. I don't know. Yep. I just feel like they're still right there in contenders, man. Like, am I gonna say? Like, I don't know if the Senators or the Devils are more of a contender than the Lightning.
But don't worry, I'm throwing them right out of that window.
Yeah, seeing how this fills out, I think we'll be moving a couple teams down. But that's a fair take.
I'm gonna leave Tampa in contender because I think that they have the pieces to go on a run.
I'm gonna go with the New York Rangers here, and I have no clue what to do with this team. The only thing that's making me confident in putting them in playoffs is like Mike Sullivan coming in. I think he's a really good coach. I think he's got a proven track record. I think he's going to be a difference maker this year, and having Shesterkin is massive. Obviously, when you have one of the best goalies in the world, I think that automatically raises your floor. I think they need a bounce back year from Adam Fox. That kind of is just a mystery of disappointment of why his play just kind of fell off. But I think he has all the capabilities in the world to be a top 15 player again, a top 4 defenseman in this league. I just don't know, though. Like, I really don't know with the rest of the roster. Like, Lafreniere is a guy that I think we all have he has just made everyone scratch their heads because I think he was poised for, like, this breakout year last year. JT Miller is hurt right now, but, like, he's the captain. Zibanejad, Panarin, Trocheck. Like, it really is like this team is so top heavy that if we see a bad season from a Zibanejad like we did last year, there goes the scoring and there goes your playoffs. And that's kind of why I'm toying with like I don't know what to make of this team right now because I love the goalie. I think they've got a number 1 defenseman and I love the head coach, but there's still so many questions. I'll stick them in playoffs for now. I think I'm being kind of nice about it, but I think Sullivan is the determining factor for me. They finally feel like they have a head coach that I have confidence in. You
got to just hope that like the distractions that just overwhelmed this team last year go away, and like all the Trouba stuff last year, that was just that was never going to work. You were never going to be a Stanley Cup contender when you're like running your captain out of the city. I'm fine with playoffs though, and like you said, there's so much elite talent where like the upside's clearly there. They should be on paper making the playoffs.
They went to the conference final 2 years ago.
Because of what happened last year and all the drama, and then like they do look a lot different than they did just 2 years ago. So many of those players are already gone just because of how poorly last year was. That's why there are some reservations, but like I'd put them in playoffs for sure. They should be competing for that.
2 teams left, and they just so happened to play each other in last year's playoffs. Wow. We'll start with the Winnipeg Jets. I'll end with the Dallas Stars. I wonder if we have found our Cup champ in either one of these.
Well, I know one of them we haven't.
The Stars, I know. No, you know what? As much as I'd love to put them in Stanley Cup champs, I'm going to stick the Jets in contender. I think there's no reason to take them out. I know they lost Ehlers. I really like Nick Ehlers. We're going to miss Ehlers, and I hope this doesn't bite me in the butt. I don't know if Nikolai Ehlers is like a guy who's going to like make a difference between the Jets winning a cup or not. I think actually if you look at the moves that the Jets did make, even though they brought in some older guys, I think Jonathan Toews, just from a leadership standpoint alone, I mean, we're talking about one of the best captains in NHL history here, is now on the Jets in that locker room, a team that struggled to take that next step in the playoffs. Having a guy like that to lead you and battle and help Lowry as he captains the team is so valuable. Hellebuck's still Hellebuck. I like the Jets' defense. They're top 4 this year. I think the question is Dylan DeMello like a top pairing guy? I think there's a lot of arguments about that. Yeah, I think up front the Jets are still a great team, and I have no reason to say that they're not going to be a contender after winning the President's Trophy.
No disagreements here. That leaves the Dallas Stars. I feel like this has been a popular choice of ours as Stanley Cup champions. I'm going to throw them in Cup champs because they're the last team. We're going to have an argument about who deserves to be there now. We'll save that argument for last, but I think when you look at this Dallas team, like they are the same team as last year. Thomas Harley is continuing to emerge. I think he is so good. And we met him in Calgary, and he was an exceptional guy. Like really thoughtful, really smart guy.
Vaughn King,
him and Heiskanen, Wyatt Johnston taking another step. Maverick Bourque getting a better look now. Robo. This is kind of like the swan song, though, for the Sagan-Ben era a little bit because Ben's a UFA. He's hurt right now as well. But Ben's a UFA, Sagan after next year. Duchesne's getting older, obviously. They are loaded up front. They have the best depth probably in the league on both forward group, back end, and then Jake Onger and net. Like, this is a really good team. They probably will be in a cup final at some point here if the law of averages kind of works out. They've got that superstar that I think they were looking for in Rantanen that should be that game breaker. So I have no reason to think that they can't win the cup. But is that who we're going with? Let's just get some housekeeping out of the way. I think the list looks pretty good. Do we just want to move Ottawa and New Jersey down to playoffs, ? It feels like they're probably in that group more so than contender.
I think so. I think to be a cup contender, that's a big kind of weight to bear and honor. Like,
all right.
Just feel like those are probably the two best teams in playoffs, but they just got to prove themselves a little bit more to be cup contenders. So I think that's fair. This is where my head's at with Dallas. I think Dallas is the best team in the NHL on paper. I think they have the best roster. They have the best players that make up their group. But if they were playing in a 7-game series right now against the Oilers, I would take the Oilers.
I agree. And that's why I'm personally sick of Oilers.
And I said, I don't think the Oilers are the best team in the NHL, but I think Connor McDavid is gonna win the cup eventually. It will happen.
This is such a perfect setting to do it, though. Like as he's about to become a free agent, it would be just poetic.
And he just leaves.
And then he just leaves and comes to Winnipeg. Helps bring the cup to Winnipeg.
Goes to the Ducks.
Wow. Yeah. That's talk about rebuild going right.
And then next year maybe we'll put the Ducks in playoffs.
Maybe. McDavid's done some incredible things. If you could get that Ducks roster to the playoffs, honestly,
you heard it here. Ducks are going to be right in the playoff hunt this year.
If he wins the cup, he should just do like a social experiment where it's just like going to the worst team I can to see if I can.
All of a sudden,
and you know what? He
should do it every year.
He should start McDavid as Mr. Beast.
But he needs to start. Yeah, he needs to start a YouTube channel like William Nylander and
Nylander.
say, "I joined the worst NHL team."
And he should only sign 1-year deals, and he has to do that every year. So when there's a worse team than the team he's on, he then has to see how far he can take that team, and it's just a challenge for himself every year.
Then I'd honestly respect him. ASHL D1 Wednesday nights playing for the Bar Down team.
The Oilers are now the number 1 team in our tier list. They are the Cup champs. You can see it on the screen right now. This is what we feel like the NHL is going to look like standing-wise for the entire season. I'm sure there are going to be people that disagree. Let us know where you disagree. This has been fun. This has been long. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Let's just go. Let's get the season going here. We're back.
We are so back.
We are so back.